Gamers, I want to talk about handhelds today because a lot of you are looking for that wonderful graphic that I didn't really understand until a few months ago, like ranking something. So today I'm going to rank gaming handhelds for you. Before I do that, I want to talk about my criteria because there's going to be a lot of stuff missing there. Like I asked Adam about the PS Vita, and before I realized, yeah, of course, no, PS Vita is while you can still buy it secondhand, you can't really buy a PS Vita new, Adam.
Yeah, you could probably buy some that are sitting in stock, but they haven't been manufactured since 2019, so they've been sitting in a factory somewhere, sitting in a warehouse somewhere.
So if you guys are interested, I can definitely do something more comprehensive. We can include the Vita, we can include the DS, the DS XL, we can include a lot of stuff that I didn't include. So what I did was I wanted to talk about what's available at the moment, what's popular, what are people struggling over, like I've been struggling over for the last few months. What's not going to be on this list is the Switch 2 because it is coming out next year and we don't have a firm release date for that. There's also a few handhelds that are going to come out towards the end of this year. There's one in Brazil that's pretty nice. There's another one by Zotac. Their handheld is coming out in the next few months. You're not going to see that on this list. The Aya series, or Aya Neo 2, that's a Chinese company that makes handhelds. There's XPDs and the GPDs. Again, another Chinese company that makes these sort of like old style BlackBerry handheld devices that you can actually play games on. Again, because these are very, very niche devices, lots of people don't have access to it. Lots of people wouldn't even feel comfortable buying it. So what I decided to rank was the most popular solutions accessible to the most people. I'm starting from the very bottom. On the bottom is going to be the MSI Claw. And I went to Costco yesterday in Taiwan. It was 18,000 Taiwan dollars or 600 USD. And there's a very good reason for that is because if you look at most reviews for this device, it is pretty bad. It is running the Intel chipset. And if you've seen Intel stories lately, Intel is not having a fantastic year with regards to their CPUs. The performance is horrible. There's another issue, again, with related to software, which I'll talk about a bit later. So this is the last thing you want to buy just because it barely runs games at 30 frames per second. And the MSI probably did what a lot of companies do. Were like, okay, we messed up, so we're gonna offload our MSI clause to Costco or Walmart, or whatever your big box retailer is, right? So skip that. The next thing on the list is going to be the Lenovo Legion Go. So the Lenovo Legion Go is definitely a step up. The performance is better. But again, what happens, a common thread that I'm going to talk about in today's ranking is the software. So software is a big issue, right? Because when you come home from work or you have a limited amount of time or people want that experience of what Adam has. When Adam turns on his PS5 and he plays a game, he doesn't have to play around with frames per second or doesn't have to play around with a lot of the settings that PC gamers have to play around with sometimes, right? And for better or for worse, I know people can argue about that. Like sometimes playing around with it and making a game look the best possible way is good. But honestly, I don't want to do that anymore. I just want to play my game. And that is the trend that has taken over the handheld market. That's why handhelds are so popular. That's why there are channels dedicated to the Steam Deck, dedicated to the Lenovo Legion Go, because people love this handheld experience. I've been on the PC now for about 1.5 months, 2 months since I went stopped from playing the Switch. And honestly, I miss the Switch so much. I can't wait for Zelda to come. That can be just Switch gaming Monday to Friday. Legion Go, the upside to this handheld is the sound is really good. That's what a lot of people have agreed on. And it is, if you're somebody who's interested in sound, this is also a better version of a tablet. Like it's like a gaming tablet in a sense. That's what people also talk about. And when I woke up this morning, one of the first stories I saw was Lenovo released some accessories for this. They released like a dock for the handhelds that go on the Lenovo Legion Go. They released a dock for it. They released a bunch of different things. So Lenovo is definitely in the long game when it comes to this. I'll be surprised if MSI is making another claw in another 3 years or 4 years, unless they do something really different. But again, not as good as the next handhelds we're going to talk about. Now going to the A tier. So the A tier, we're gonna have the Steam Deck OLED and the ROG Ally-X. So these are both in the A tier for different reasons. The Steam Deck OLED is just because it has the most superior software. Everyone agrees when it comes to this. When you launch a game on the Steam Deck, it's in 3 seconds. That's the number I saw. Where it's just like there's no playing around with settings. It's just the game works. It is built in Linux, so it's extra fast. There are downsides to this. This is stuck at 720p. So again, this is just like a Switch, almost the original Switch, but it runs amazingly. And apparently, not apparently, there is a huge community behind this. So there are games that are not officially supported by the Steam Deck, but you'll find someone who made a controller scheme, someone who made a way for you to put this game on your Steam Deck, like a Dragon Age Origins is a game that I wanted to play. And I was like, okay, this is what that was a decision for me to consider a Steam Deck or not. And yeah, there's a way for you to get onto your Steam Deck. So the ROG Ally X is on here just because of its sheer power. It is the most performant PC handheld that you can get, right? Plugging into the wall, you getting 1080p, 60 frames per second on a lot of games, right? Which is fantastic in a handheld format. That being said, the Switch 2 is supposed to deliver this next year. So that's something to consider. The ROG has come a long way in terms of its software. It doesn't use the Windows sort of game launcher like the Lenovo Legion Go does. It uses Armoury Crate, which is, if you have an Asus PC, you're probably familiar with that. So Armoury Crate is still not as good as what Steam has. And the S tier, and again, I'm biased, but I think this is just the logical choice, is the Nintendo Switch, the original device, just because software is flawless. I've had 3 crashes for the Nintendo Switch in 7 years, 6 years, 7 years. A long time. It's been a long time. It runs flawlessly. I've never had a game. No, that's not true. I've had 1 or 2 games that are like supremely unoptimized for the Switch, but it's just overall, it's an easy experience. If you're here in Taiwan, you want to join the US store, you can buy a game. If you want to buy physical games, and I can lend my game to Adam if he ever gets the Switch and he can pop it in, right? There's no restrictions about that. It's just an overall better ecosystem. There's so many games, and it's so easy for developers to make a PC game and then port it to the Switch, and make it for the Switch and then port it to the PC. So you get a lot of the games that you would get on the PC, you get it on the Switch. Um, it's usable, it's fun, it's accessible, runs, and just the form factor itself, it runs nicely. Like I remember having a Wii, and I'm like, okay, this is cool for playing with people, but this is just like a good device that you're able to take around with you. It's not very heavy compared to the Steam Deck or the Asus ROG Ally, which are big, heavier devices, of course, because they're newer chipsets. It's definitely the better choice for kids, for adults who are looking, or not looking to play these graphically intensive games. If you are looking for that, Asus ROG Ally is the way to go, or potentially wait for a Switch 2. But yeah, those are the handhelds, and I've ranked them. And again, this is just my opinion. You might rank things differently. You can let me know what you think.